Good afternoon. Casey Durango here of Go Keto with Casey. And I hope you guys are doing well. I like to talk, excuse me, that's me in my mouth, about how I've lost 97.4 pounds since starting the ketogenic diet, how you might be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your life. Thank you so much for showing up today. Um, Today this is a live stream with Q&A. If you are someone who does not enjoy a host of a video interacting with people who attend live and ask questions or make comments, then this may not be the video for you. It's an open Q&A. I am not a medical doctor. I'm not a researcher. I'm not a PhD. I'm simply a former fatty who had given up on the idea of losing weight, but didn't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes and implemented the ketogenic diet about 5 years ago and have never looked back. So all that having been said, it looks like, oh, there goes Cuckoo. Cuckoo's just a little bit slow today. Cuckoo and I have a running competition to see who's going to win. Hi, I wanted to say hello. Look at all the folks that are here. That's fantastic. And I'm going to scroll up if you don't mind. I don't know how this will work on playback. Hey, Shell. April. Hey, listen, I'm seeing some patrons here. Thank you so much for showing up. Bonjour, Denis. Do you speak French? I assume you speak French, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Deidre, good day from Australia. I think this is the first time I've caught this live. I rarely catch anyone live due to time difference. And so apparently there's a conversation about bone broth. Oh, and yes, Dennis or Denny, however you pronounce it, please correct my pronunciation. I think you had posted a question on YouTube about broth, how much a day. I've never heard anyone address how much broth a day to drink. I think it's just, it's not like a good homemade broth is full of minerals and maybe, things that are leached out of the bones. That's what bone broth is stuff leached out of the bones. And if you had animal flesh in there as well. But I've never heard anyone talk about there being a limit or a minimum amount. It's just kind of a nice, gentle way to get in some minerals and some nutrition. So I would say if you like it, drink as much as you want, and I have used both the bouillon cubes when I just need a quick shot of sodium. But I've also made homemade broth. I collect bones of all types until I have enough in a bag in the freezer to warrant simmering a pot of water. And that's what I do. I just get all kinds of bones. It can be lamb bones, pork chop bones, chicken bones, standing rib roast bones, doesn't matter to me. And I let them simmer for as long as I can. 24 hours, 36 hours, topping off with water every now and again until the bones have just given up everything they're going to give. And then you can, when you've made it right, and Dennis, I believe you asked about why would I dilute it with water, or maybe someone else asked that. I don't really dilute it. When I make it, it's so dense, it becomes, because of all the collagen, it becomes a jelly. So I'll just put a little bit of hot water in there to break up the gelatin because it's also very intense. Okay, so let me see if anyone has a question. Casey, I don't need to lose a ton of weight. This is from Ann Reese. And it seems more difficult. Do I need to be stricter with things like dairy? Now, and that's a really broad question. When you say you don't need to lose that much weight, that's great. Are you doing this strictly for losing body fat? Keep in mind, the ketogenic diet, and I'll go over the very simple tenets in a moment, is not a weight loss diet. It's a fat burning diet. It means you turn your body over from burning glucose or sugar for fuel to burning ketones or fat for fuel. That's all it is. So it's not a weight loss diet. Burning fat for fuel, getting into ketosis, as is said, does not mean, oh, you're going to lose weight. If that was the case, I would be see-through because I've been in ketosis for over 5 years. I'm still burning fat for fuel because it's a very good and efficient fuel for my body. There are many ways to be healthy and happy and trim and feel good about yourself. For me, fueling my body with fatty sources of protein and listening to my actual hunger cues and not eating if I'm not hungry. That's what works for me. I keep my carbs very low. And I'll be frank with you, there are no vegetables in my fridge right now. My husband is traveling, and he's the one that will tend to eat more vegetables than I. And it's not any philosophical reason. I just have found as I eat less food because I need less fuel. I'm older. I'm smaller. I'm 61 years old. I just need less fuel. That the vegetables were the first thing to go. So there's that. But so it depends on how much you want to lose or need to lose. But yes, someone who has 150 pounds, 200, 250 to lose, almost everyone finds the last 10 pounds very difficult. They just really want to hang on. And maybe we just need to adjust what our weight goal is. You know, how have you, excuse me, I gesticulate. And so I apologize if I hit the microphone and make a noise. I should hold my hands like this. And how much weight do you want to lose? And where did you come up with that number? Maybe you just need to adjust the number. But the main thing is, do you feel better? Are you looking to reduce inflammation? Avoid taking medications for high blood sugar or high blood pressure, acid reflux, better sleep, better energy, increased alertness. These are all things that are reported across the board by the majority of people who implement this protocol correctly, as prescribed. Hey, Lisa, going to miss the live feed. Oh, so sorry. Shall about 2 cups space them out? Okay, so I love this. Y'all are answering each other's questions. So Alan Thomas writes, Alejandra, I was on a pause in weight loss for 6 weeks, but lost inches. That is a thing. Thank you for sharing that, Alan. It's a definite thing. Losing inches without losing ounces. Our body's composition can absolutely change. It sounds weird, but as we burn body fat in the fat that's in our cells is released, along with a lot of other things that are released, not just fat. You know, nature abhors a vacuum. So here's a simplistic way of saying it. You know, here was a cell, it was full of fat. And now you're burning fat for fuel, so system has engaged that cell, and that cell has released the fat. Well, the cell is still there, and nature abhors a vacuum. So water replaces it. Water, you know, a gram of water weighs the same as a gram of fat, but it takes up less space. That's how that happens. And then after a while, your body says, you know what? I don't need to use this cell as a placeholder anymore. It looks like Casey's not going to go back and put that weight back on. Release the water, please. Your job here is done. And that's when you get a whoosh. Okay, Deidre asks, do you take supplements doing keto, Casey? If so, which ones? I don't take multivitamins or anything like that. I do take slow release magnesium. I use the generic brand of Mag 64, which I get at Amazon. It's on my blog if you want to go and see there. It's an affiliate link, but I get the 5 packages at a time because even when I keep my sodium where it needs to be, I will tend to get leg cramps. My husband does not get leg cramps, so he does not take any supplements. This is a very nutrient-dense way of eating. You know, if we're trying to feed ourselves fuel that was really not intended to keep us healthy, it might have filled us up, but it didn't keep us healthy. Yeah, you might need to supplement because there's not that much nutrition. This is very nutrient-dense. Now, as I get older, am I going to need to keep an eye on bone health and things like that? Possibly, but I'm good now. I will be incorporating more exercise, weight-bearing exercise, because I'm getting older and I want to have good bone strength. You know, a saying around Go Keto with Casey is, I don't exercise, I just dress like I do. Well, I'm going to have to amend that and say I actually do exercise. Not for weight loss, but for body composition and strength. Okay, Lisa Irk shares, before I get the whoosh, my skin/fat changes to feeling squishy, like a waterbed. That is how I know whoosh is coming. We have heard about this in our Patreon group. A couple of people have said, they were like, said, this is going to sound weird, but my fat feels really squishy. It's like the fat characteristics change, and then there's a whoosh. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. By the way, I know there are several patrons here. I am going to give a plug for my patron account because patrons allowed me to change from my previous lucrative career to do something that is less lucrative, but to which I feel called and am thrilled to do it. So thank you to patrons. And just to let you know, Patreon is a group, place where you can pledge monthly. There's no, annual contract or anything. You can stop at any time. And for contributions from $2, you get about 20 videos from me a month. We call them snippets. I do them weekday mornings. Plus, you have access to the patron-only forum on Discourse. Up from there, we have more going on. I'm going to incorporate podcasts to the next level up. About 8 patron-only live streams a month. And up from there, about 6 or 7 patron-only video group chats a month. And then up from there, a 15-minute monthly one-on-ones with me. So there's just the plug for Patreon. Hey, Stacy, how you doing? Is Luke in the background? She's a patron. I think that's really great about the squishy fat. Okay, let me see. I'm going to try to keep up with the questions, which is the whole point of this. Alan writes, the snippets are very motivational. I really enjoy them. Thank you so much for saying that. Okay, Shell writes, vitamin D supplements are a total sham. Eating this way provides all of what you need. I promise. Thank you, Shell. And you know what? Most references will say, sit outside in the sun for about 15 minutes at a time, 2-3 times a week. And that really gets you wonderful doses of vitamin D. Of course, be careful with not overexposing yourself to sun. And I'll be out in the sun today. I already have been. I've got to muck out the chickens and pull some weeds and do some other things. So it's a good way to spend a day and burn your debris. Okay. Carolyn Freed asks, what about dry brushing? How often? Dry brushing is an interesting phenomenon. It's very simple. For those of you who don't know, it's literally a brush. Boar's bristles, I think, are the nicest ones. Those are the ones I have. A little hand brush, and you brush while your skin is dry. So before a shower is when I do it. And you can't overdo it. So just brush, and you brush your extremities from the furthest towards your torso. So from your tops of your feet, up your legs, your thighs, and up your belly, down your chest, towards your heart. It's supposed to be very beneficial for skin and circulation. So you can't overdo it. I do it before I shower. It takes almost no time. And, like so many things in life, really the best answer is the simplest and the cheapest. Congratulations, Deborah, down 65 pounds in 10 months, age 55. Fantastic. Lavender Lilies writes, happy Saturday. Thank you. You're in the UK. Oh, so, I can't answer that question. Don't have great weather in the UK. Should you take vitamin D? I don't know whether the sun's rays will penetrate through overcast skies. Someone with more knowledge can talk to that. And I can't recommend whether to take supplements or not. That's maybe something you want to take up with your GP. Hey, Macbeth, you always write the most wonderful post. Jennifer Wellman, welcome to my world. The belly and the muffin top fang is still hanging on, and there's no way to spot lose. People say, how do I get rid of the belly fat? You know what? It's clickbait when an article says, how to get rid of the belly fat, or the 10 exercises that coaches say to do to get rid of belly fat. The fat's going to go where it's going to go from. I used to have a giant badonkadonk, huge. It was the first place I lost weight. I thought it would be the last, but it was the first. Macbeth writes, I'm above the 50th parallel, so vitamin D is important. Okay. Homa June B writes, I've been on keto since March, have not lost since mid-April. Homa June B, I do coaching. one-on-one through my blog, separate from Patreon. And almost the first time someone hires me for a session, it's almost always something like that question. I'm doing this perfectly. I'm really strict and I've not lost any weight since X. I ask a series of questions. First of all, are you burning fat for fuel? That means, are you testing for whether you are in ketosis? You don't have to test, and you don't have to spend a lot of money for this. If your appetite is greatly suppressed, that's really the first sign. But if you're curious, you can get the urine strips, and they measure acetoacetate. None of these, by the way, measure ketones. That's a quick misnomer, but which measures that. Just don't measure on a full bladder. You can get a glucometer, which also some of them, I like the Keto Mojo brand, measures beta hydroxybutyrate by blood. And then some of the breath analyzers, but I'm not down with those really because I just don't have any great experience with them. But if you are in ketosis, yes, I'm in ketosis. Okay, so you're burning fat for fuel. Keeping in mind, this is not a weight loss protocol. It is a fat burning protocol. You're burning fat for fuel. Next question, are you overeating dietary fat? Because some people have been told they need to pound back bulletproof coffee, MCT oil, fat bombs, that you must consume that to burn fat. That is not the way it works. It's not the presence of fat that does the trick. It's the absence of carbs. If you're on a desert island and all you have access to is fresh water and no fuel at all, after a couple of days, you're going to be burning fat for fuel. You will be in ketosis and you will have not eaten any fat. It is really warm here today. It's going to be 90 and I have all the windows open. So excuse me as I fan myself. I'm trying to put off putting on the AC for a variety of reasons. One of all, I like to experience air and the sounds. Anywho, so, okay, if you say, no, I'm not overeating dietary fat, I don't do that. I'm not. The next question is, are you consuming more fuel than your body needs? Or if you're maintaining weight, now you know how much fuel you need to consume to maintain your weight. But if you want to lose body weight, ultimately the amount of fuel you consume in relation to the amount of energy you expend matters. We are so conditioned to eat 3 times a day or have a snack, or breakfast is the most important meal of the day, or a meal has to be this big. Sometimes a meal for me is 2 boiled eggs. And sometimes that's all I eat in a day. Other days, my breakfast this morning was ginormous because I was good and hungry, empty, hungry. And I probably won't have any other fuel for the rest of the day to speak of. I might have a little bit of cheese. So first thing is, are you burning fat for fuel? And you can test this in a couple of ways. If you go to my blog in the sidebar, there is a thing for the Keto Mojo. It is an affiliate link, but I don't mind recommending things that I can get behind. I don't sell food products. I don't recommend food products because you don't need to eat anything special. No supplements, no pills, no cookies, no fake baked goods, no powders, no shakes. But I do like the Keto Mojo. So anyway, if you use that link in my sidebar of my blog, then you'll get a 15% discount on a Keto Mojo kit. And I do like the kit better. For a couple of years, I used the Precision Extra. The strips were really expensive and hard to come by. I think they've come down now because they finally caught on. Abbott Laboratories finally caught on that they needed to drop their prices, but a little too late. Plus, I like the device itself. Mechanically, I like it better. There's a link to my blog. Home of June B, I think I'm overeating. Let me tell you what. Here's the protocol. Keep your carbohydrate intake 20 grams or fewer a day, total not net. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry, and stop when you're satiated. Those last 2, those are the hardest. Those are the hardest. They are for almost everyone. So, and we have to continue to practice it. It's not like once you got it down, you got it down. Sometimes you just, eat more fuel than you need, even if it's totally keto approved. Yeah. So push the peckishness. That's what we say around Go Keto with Casey. Push the peckishness. Somebody says you're hungry, so I could eat. I'm peckish. I could eat. Push that. And you might find that you have that exact same level of peckishness, not unpleasant, anything, for 5 more hours. Whereas if as soon as you felt that peckishness, you ate, that's just that much more fuel that maybe you didn't need. Okay. Okie dokie. I'm going to look. Anyone have any questions for me? I love that you guys are answering each other's questions. Okay. Hey, Lori. Casey, how much of the calcium, magnesium do you take? I take the slow release, the Mag 64, which is calcium, magnesium chloride. I take 3 pills a day. I take them all at the same time with my coffee. And each one is 64 milligrams. So that ends up being whatever. Is that 200? Is that 100? 64 times 3. That's how much I end up taking. Okay. Hi, y'all. Hi, my Q&A question is, what is your address and what are your bank credentials? JK, LOL. So funny. Going off heavy cream is hard. Jennifer, a lot of folks in our group are just going because they're at a stall. We don't call it a stall, actually, we call it a hover. So many of the words we use when we talk to ourselves are negative. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so mad at myself, I cheated. You didn't cheat. You ate some food that wasn't the best choice. Cheating is when you screw around on your partner. That's cheating. Having some pretzels, that's not cheating. That's just making a choice that maybe wasn't the best choice for you to make, and maybe you won't do it again. But anyway, we just call it a hover because that always implies there will be another change. Alrighty. Okay, you guys talking to each other? Okay. Someone, I'm just not hungry. Don't even think on it. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Exactly, Shell. Some days I consume more fuel than others. I do not eat by the clock. I do not eat by the clock. I don't time restrict. If I'm not hungry, I don't eat. If I am hungry, I eat. Really, the final piece was stopping when satiated. And sometimes that meant leaving half a plate of fuel on my plate, even though the portion had started off so much smaller anyway. Sometimes it means leaving 2 mouthfuls on the plate. Because we'll tend to say, oh, there's just a couple of pieces left. Let me just eat that. Well, if you really are satiated, stop. Give it to the dog. Give it to your partner. Stick it in the fridge for tomorrow. It's very interesting how we are so conditioned. Many of us were part of the Clean Plate Club. Okay, but don't eat only 600 calories, too low. Now, Dennis, I'm going to disagree with you. That might be true for you. You're a dude. You're younger than I am, I'm sure. Sure, you're taller than I am. And you probably weigh more than I do. There are days I probably am sub 600 calories. And there are days I'm way above that. But this arbitrary thing about the calories, the arbitrary thing, I stopped entering in my Fitness Pal and sharing it because I didn't want people to listen to my body. I wanted them to listen to their bodies. But when I was entering information into my Fitness Pal and I would hit, complete your entries for the day, every day it said I was going to be dead by sunup because I was not eating enough. Okay. I'm not seeing any question marks. So you guys are talking with, here's one. Can we replace the heavy whipping cream with coconut cream? Same quantities? And look at the carb count. I don't know whether coconut cream is higher in carbs. Not look at the serving size particularly. Heavy whipping cream is not unlimited on the food list I followed. The food list I followed, which is at my blog, maximum 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream a day. And that includes, if you're using it in a sauce or your coffee or whatever. Cheese is not unlimited. But you have to check the carb counts. I simply have not looked at coconut cream. What is MyFitnessPal? MFP. MyFitnessPal, it's an app. But I'm going to tell you, don't let an app tell you what to eat. I used it at the beginning to learn what 20 total grams of carbohydrate was. I had my OXO scale and I measured out, and it's always from the vegetables. But you don't even really need to do that. Limit your vegetable intake, if you eat vegetables, to a maximum of 1 cup of non-starchy vegetables a day, pre-cooked. That's a cup, about the size of your fist. And about 2 cups of leafy greens a day. Maximum, not minimum. That'll get you to about 10, 12 carbs. So, half a plate of broccoli is not a normal serving. But I had to learn that. And then once I became very acquainted with what the carbs intake looked like, I didn't need to use MyFitnessPal anymore. Now, someone Deborah Barnes, holy cow, I have about 10 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream a day. Explains my hovering. Yes. Yes. This is not a serving. But it's easy to do. I've never counted calories since I started this. I did before. Oh, I so much did. I tried. I was very heavy for 30 years. You can see my before photos. And then I had the year of the triathlons where I trained for and participated in either 4 or 5 sprint level triathlons, thinking that's it. I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do this. And I focused on calorie intake, on the percentages, worked with a nutritionist, tracked everything, got everything against my BMR in relation to my METs that I was burning in the separate exercises. And I had a database. This was pre MyFitnessPal, because I love spreadsheets and I'm good at them, where I would put in English muffin and I put it in, and that would calculate all the protein, fat, calories, and carbohydrate. And then it would drop it into a percentage because I had already structured MyFitnessPal. 6 months of training for and participating in sprint triathlons, I lost a sum total of 11 pounds. I was hungry all the time, and everything in my body hurt. Plus, I was angry. I was in a bad mood. One of the patrons asked, before I came on here, because I said I was going to be doing this, a Q&A on Patreon. What about alcohol? So no one has asked this, and I'm not seeing too many other questions for me. I have enjoyed wine and spirits throughout the entire process. I was part of a very tiny trial of the impact of alcohol on ketosis. There's not one. I've never gone out of ketosis due to alcohol. If you don't drink, don't start. If you're someone who feels like your eating will get derailed if you're consuming alcohol because our inhibitions can be reduced, then be careful of that. But if you're going to imbibe dry wines, red or white, or rosés, but dry, not a high sugar content. So not sangrias, not cordials, not aperitifs, not muscadine, grape wines. And then if you're going to have spirits, they're all fine, light or dark. Just make sure that if it's not a straight up, if you're not taking it straight up, that your mixers are non-sugar. So if you're drinking, a favorite of mine, and I'm sure I'll be having this evening after I have a day of work with the chickens in the yard, and on a 90-degree day, will be a gin and diet tonic water with a squeeze of lime. So you just want to be careful. Now, what happens is your liver has to process the alcohol as if it were a toxin, because alcohol is a toxin to our bodies. So it has to process it before it kind of does anything else. Again, very simplistic explanation, but it's kind of hitting the pause button on anything else. That's the first housekeeping chore it has. Just don't over imbibe. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Eating intuitively is a skill. How do you start? You listen to your body. You stop telling yourself, well, I'm really having a craving, so I have to eat. And you get rid of the idea that the first twinge of peckishness or the first tummy rumble, I better eat or else I'm going to fall out. You're not going to die. If you're not hypoglycemic, just push the peckishness and learn what your actual body cues are. It takes a little practice, but you'll get there. Deidre asks, Casey, do you know anyone who improved their kidney function through doing keto? When you say kidney function, what do you mean? And I can't speak to medical things. I can tell you there's no kidney reason not to do this, except for, I understand, I heard Dr. Westman say one time, there is a very rare kidney condition, very rare, that you want to make sure you're doing this under doctor supervision. But one of our patrons, a year ago, she had a kidney removed from kidney cancer. And her doctor told her, whatever you're doing, she'd been on keto about a year and a half, so keep it up. You probably are in better shape now because of what you've been doing on the ketogenic diet. So I would say that. But that's a good question for a doctor who actually is familiar with the protocol. A good resource that answers a lot of things is The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living by Drs. Stephen Phinney and Jeff Bolick. Again, go to my blog, look under resources. You can see a link to that. That's my resource. It's my go-to. If someone said I can only get one book, that would be it. Okay. And that's great. Yeah, a glass of red wine occasionally has been okay with me so far. Okay, I am going to start to sign off. I always say that and then I talk for another 10 minutes. I've actually gotten feedback about that in a kind way. LOL, you say, okay, I'm wrapping up, and then you're still talking 15 minutes later. Does anyone have a question for me while okay, y'all are still answering someone else's questions. That's great. Okay, Judy Tucker, cholesterol. Judy, what's your question? Cholesterol, the overall number is irrelevant. What you want is to have triglycerides and HDL be as close to the same number as possible. If one needs to be higher, it's fantastic for HDL to be higher. And there is no pharmaceutical available that can drive down triglycerides and drive up HDL the way a well-formulated ketogenic diet can. Corey, see question above. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Thank you very much, Lisa. You're very kind. By the way, I've done a little test episode, a little 3-minute test episode for a podcast. I'm just calling it the Go Keto with Casey podcast, I think is what I called it. I think I'm going to get a telephone number available for people to call in and leave questions. And if I can record those questions and pop them into the podcast, I think I'm going to do that. I think that'd be a really cool thing, but I need to do some of that. And I'll have probably a public-facing podcast and then a Patreon-facing podcast. Some of it will be patron-only content. Yeah. Macbeth writes, Alan Thomas, same way I got over my cravings for cigarettes. Ignore them. They pass within seconds or minutes. No one died of a craving. And a craving does not result in an immediate involuntary action, whether you're doing this or this. At some point, we need to be in control of our behavior. And when I talk to people, we almost never talk about food. The first time, maybe food. Beyond that, it's the emotional stuff. It's the mental stuff. We call it e-mental. Behavioral stuff. Breaking habits. Accepting the fact that you deserve to feel good. It's a lot that goes on. The food is easy. Okay. Luis Orozco, can you get your better half to speak? Keto talk. Thank you. A Spanish language talk. I would love to do that. And we've talked about it. He does not necessarily want to be on camera. He's a very good looking guy. He just it's not his jam. But I thought about a podcast, and I don't mind doing the speaking in Spanish because I can speak en español, más o menos, pero es mi lengua segunda, entonces yo no quiero decir las palabras incorrectas. So he could be there to kind of edit me, or we could both talk. All right, friends. Thank you so much for being here. I'm looking to see, still though. Yes, you're good speaking Spanish. Thank you. I dreamed of French. You know what? Dreamed of French fries last night. I still have dreams that I've eaten food, and I'm halfway through, like eating a peanut butter sandwich on white bread. And I'm halfway through, and I look down and go, why did I do that? Oh, no. And I wake up, I'm so relieved. Deborah says, I can say Speedy Gonzalez in Spanish. Okay, thank you, friends. I am going to wrap this up. Thank you to the patrons who make this possible. Like I said, $2 up, you get about 20 videos from me without makeup, before coffee, usually with a big cowlick sticking up at the back of my head and me having to let Atticus in and out. And I talk about a lot of things, almost never food. And then up from there. And it is a true community. It is a community in every sense of the word. It is a virtual support community. So thank you to you guys who are here. Time to mow. Yep, Colin writes. Okay. Thank you, thank you. I am going to say do svidania. Adios. Ciao, bella. Ciao, which apparently is also goodbye in Vietnamese. Auf Wiedersehen. See you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile. Toodaloo, caribou, for my Canadian friends.